All right, Aaron. So last episode, you laid out the idea of the system, right? But how much of it do you think is a system versus people just choosing the easy path?
Yeah, I think we definitely choose the easy path, but I also think there is a system. We tend to pick what's easy and comfortable, um, but left unchecked, we drift into comfort, not discipline. I think that's where the problems come in.
So where do you feel like the system does fit into all of that then, or the systems?
Well, there's a reason that scripture tells us things about self-control, discipline, and these kind of things because they don't come naturally. And so I think it fits in a way that we have to be actively aware of it and actively pursuing our
Mm,
own improvements and our own chase of discipline. We can't just think that we're going to naturally make better choices if we're not actively pursuing better choices.
So it kind of goes back to what we talked about in the last episode that you have to be intentional about knowing where you fall into all of that, right?
Yeah, and I think due to the nature of the system and the nature of the human, it kind of takes our natural tendencies, builds an environment, and then it becomes harder to resist the easy
Mm,
choices. And so what's essentially happening is the system is amplifying our innate tendency to want to choose what's easy.
right. And we get stuck in our habits
Hmm.
super easily. It's an interesting thing to think about, like where the difference is, because no one's forcing anyone to skip the gym or to eat bad food, right?
No, no one's forcing anybody to make any bad choices.
Right.
But there is a system that rewards the bad choices. And um, there's something that I read in a book recently where none of those things are hard to do. Going to the gym is not hard to do. Eating well is not hard to do. Reading a book rather than watching Netflix is not hard to do, but the alternative is easier. And
Oh,
that's
interesting.
where we get caught up.
Okay.
It's easier not to go to the gym. It's
Right.
easier not to eat healthy. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think that plays into it a lot as well.
That's interesting. So it's not that those things are inherently that hard. It's just the alternative is a lot easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we call these the big three traps: health, money, and purpose. And that's what we're going to get into today.
Yeah. Let's do it. So let's start with the health trap.
Yeah, I think the health trap's a good place to start. It's the easiest one for most people to understand because it's pretty obvious. Um, in essence, it kind of comes down to cheap and addictive food, convenience being everywhere,
Right.
and then the flow on effect being low energy, low discipline, and then what that leads to further bad choices, and that
Mhm.
separation from God or that lack of purpose that we're going to get into a little bit more later.
Right. It's kind of scary to think too about how that starts so young
Right.
for kids now too. It's like you think about the 1950s and there was a parent at home making all the food and
Which
now
is generally better ingredients.
yeah. Oh, well, always. Yeah, it was. Just crazy to think about how early it starts.
Yeah, there's an idea in scripture talks about not being mastered by anything. And I think a lot of people don't realize just how much their habits are actually controlling them. They end up a slave to their own habits and their own seeking of comfort, probably more so than habits.
Do you think people even realize they have these habits, or do you think it's completely like subconscious for most people?
That's a good question. I mean, feel like they have to notice that they're eating bad food.
Right.
They have to notice that they're not going to the gym.
Hmm.
And so I haven't really pondered the question, but as I'm pondering it now, it would be pretty weak to say that you're not aware of your habits.
Right.
Like, are you going to the gym? Are you
Right.
hiking?
No.
Are you
Right.
running? Like, that's a pretty easy question. Are you eating takeaway food often? These are pretty simple questions.
I just wonder if people even think about it that much.
No, well, that's a different question. I
Okay.
don't think they care
Yeah.
enough, or they're
Oh,
just,
interesting.
and I don't think it's that they don't care. Given, given the choice to be healthy or unhealthy, they're going to choose healthy, but they're not. This is so common on this podcast. They're just not willing to do what it takes to get there.
Right.
And so the appeal the immediate gratification is so strong over putting in discipline over a massive period of time, because you can have what you want now that makes you feel good now, or you can defer to a future state that may or may not come that requires a lot of discipline. It's a tough choice for most people to make, and that's why that's just why they don't make it.
And so what you're saying too is it's not just physical, like it spills over
Right.
to
It
everything.
spills into everything. When the body's off, everything becomes harder. We know that. It's kind of where the statement "strength is never a weakness" comes from.
Yeah, I love
Like
that one.
when
Strength is never a weakness.
everything becomes easier when you're stronger. Life becomes easier when you're fitter. Life becomes easier when you're healthier. It
Right.
just does. Everything is easier. It's
Yeah.
easier to deal with your stresses. It's easier to deal with physical, whatever requirements they are. Like the saying, a fit person is just harder to kill. And
Yeah.
there's a truth to that. You think about your role as protector of a family or any of these things, stronger, fitter, healthier is a better choice. Or just the longevity of being around for your children.
Right.
So,
But do you think, so what you said is a fitter person's harder to kill. Do you think a fit person, like right in all aspects, is also harder for Satan to like come in and mess with?
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I say that because we see in scripture passages where it talks about the physical body
Mm-hmm.
and the importance of that. And Jesus was in shape.
Yeah.
I heard on a podcast today, on the Live Free podcast, that they estimate that he was about 5'10",
Okay.
170 to 180 pounds, and
Yeah.
very lean. And so
Wait, how do they know? Who estimates that? And how do you know that?
you have to listen to the
Okay.
podcast because there was a lot to it.
Like, how would they know that?
They
That's like basically your size, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that means he wasn't skinny.
But no, he was
So,
muscular.
yeah, and he was lean. We know that. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was what I was going with that, which is interesting.
That is interesting. Huh.
But
I just wonder how maybe I'll have to listen.
then I think, like, if we just play, before we move on to the money trap or anything, the health one will be pretty quick. But if we just play it out, how we see it, you eat poorly,
Yeah.
you get sick, you take drugs to get better.
Mm-hmm.
The drugs keep you just alive enough to keep eating the bad food, which
Right.
keeps you just sick enough to keep buying the bad drugs.
Right.
The drugs keep you just alive enough to keep eating the bad food, and it just perpetuates in that cycle. And you're just feeding money to two huge corporations.
Well, I feel like that goes into the money trap too, because healthcare in this country is so expensive.
Well, yeah, and that's an entirely and that's a whole nother element to it. So then there's a healthcare that comes in. So the health one, I think most people can understand.
Right.
Eat bad, get sick, take drugs.
Keep eating bad,
Yeah.
right? Because it's a Band-Aid.
Exactly.
So they're like, it's fine. I mean, I remember when my dad had a quadruple bypass, and this frustrated me so much because I was always telling him, like, you shouldn't drink Diet Pepsi. You shouldn't drink Diet Pepsi. And that's the first thing he drinks every day. Sorry, Dad, if you're listening to this. But when he had a quadruple bypass, the nurse, like dietitian person, came in and was like, no, you can drink Diet Pepsi. It's totally fine because there's no calories in it.
Yeah, that's just
Like,
incorrect information.
Right. And he just looked at me and he's like, see, because she has a white coat, she knows. I'm like, oh, goodness.
Yeah, that points to the problem with the system.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting because the healthcare system doesn't treat the healthy.
Right.
It's a sick care. That's all it is. And we're just sustaining a perpetual sickness so that money just keeps going into the pockets. And like we've talked about in the first episode, I don't know that they sat around and planned that, or it just happened and they're like, holy smokes, we can make so much money on this.
Yeah.
And they did. Smokes is a good example.
Holy smokes. Well, and there's a big difference between someone who's like called to be a nurse and help people in times of crisis versus these pharmaceutical companies that are like really, really profiting off of this system, right? Because thank goodness we have people to help us in emergencies.
Absolutely. The system is required to treat people who are primarily injured.
Right.
Yeah. But this chronic metabolic syndrome is avoidable.
Right.
And that's kind of what we're getting at here. And there's also nuanced cases, but for the most part, the world that we live in with this chronic metabolic syndrome could be massively changed with some simple changes in lifestyle.
Yeah, it's interesting too because I feel like so many people in the healthcare profession would agree to that, right? But they're also not necessarily the ones making all those decisions that are like causing this
Right. They're part of a system.
system. Yeah,
They go in, a lot of them, nurses are the best. I love nurses. And
yeah,
they'll go in, they want they want people to be better. They want
right,
to find a way to fix the system from the inside, but they're fighting against money.
right. Yeah,
And we're going to get into that in leadership in the third part of this series. But yeah, it's a tough fight for them. So
that health trap is real.
health trap is real.
Oh my goodness.
And just to close that one out, it's hard to live a disciplined life when your body is running on chaos.
Right. Because input equals output.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're just putting in chaos, you're going to have a hard time putting out discipline, right? So what do you mean by the money trap? Because generally people think like you just need to make more money, right? That's going to fix everything.
Yeah. Which it doesn't. We all know that.
Yeah.
We've all experienced a pay rise at
Mhm.
some point in our life, and it doesn't really change anything.
Right.
And there's a reason for that. There's a few reasons, but I'm going to break the money trap down into 4 pillars here. These are the ones that I think are most important.
Okay.
I'm just going to touch on them quickly. I love this topic, so I think we're going to do
Yeah.
plenty more.
I mean, you've taught me a lot about money. So
I think we'll do plenty more on
Yeah.
money. And it is the most, I don't want to get this wrong, but I have heard, someone can fact check me on this,
okay.
that money is the most talked about topic in the Bible.
Oh, interesting.
So the 4 pillars.
Okay.
The first one being tax. We all know tax. We all feel tax. We all see it. Hard to avoid it, but the
Right.
rich people do. They find ways.
Yeah.
There are plenty of ways to do
I
it.
need to figure out how.
We all do. I need to quickly go off topic here for a little bit. I know we've talked a lot about whether this is a conspiratorial group of villains sitting
Right.
around a table,
Yeah.
or if it's the system. But here's what I know is true.
Okay.
We pay taxes.
Yes.
The taxes go,
Too much.
in essence, to they go into the government
Right.
under the assumption that they are going to spend that money to better protect us.
Yeah. To make
And
our
they-
lives better.
And we know they do not.
No, they don't.
They steal it. They absolutely,
They send it to other countries
yeah.
that we have no
backdoors.
say over.
Yeah, there's backdoors. Yeah. So the tax one's a tough one because we're the taxes we pay, it's an agreement that
Mhm.
money is going to be used for our benefit,
Right.
and it is not. So I don't believe we should be paying taxes, not until they clean their shit up.
So in that sense, do you feel like that's less of a system and more of these people are like actively making
We're
these
gonna
choices?
get into leadership in the next
Okay.
episode. I don't know that they go in there thinking
That's what they're going to
they're
do.
just going to steal all our taxpayer
Okay.
dollars, but that's what ends up happening.
Yeah.
So we will break that down in the next one. But taxes is the obvious one, but what I want to talk about is hidden tax. And this is what people don't quite see.
Right.
And so an example that I like to use is if you think about a house, and we'll talk about like a community of houses. If every single house, let's for argument's sake and the ease of mathematics, if every single house in that community is worth $1 million,
Right.
and we pay 5%, or whatever, just we'll call it 5%
Would love to pay
property tax,
5% property tax.
then everybody in that same community is paying their 5% property tax on their $1 million property. Now, if for whatever reason, whoever's the head of that community comes in and tells everybody in that community, hey guys, I'm going to double your property taxes. It's now 10%. They're going to flip out.
Right.
There's going to be a mutiny.
Yeah.
So they don't do that. But if that same government head comes in and says, hey guys, guess what? Your $1 million house is now worth $2 million.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, you're double
And
millionaire.
so we think this is the best news ever. Like, I'm so excited. I used to be worth $1 million. Now I'm worth $2 million. I just doubled my net worth.
Yeah.
But if every house in the community went up, your buying power hasn't changed.
Right.
Because you can't sell one house and move to a cheaper one. They all went up.
So you don't actually have more money.
You have more net worth, but it's paper. It's not real money until you sell your house. Then it becomes real. But you don't have any more buying power with that money.
Unless you want to
Unless you want to leave the entire community. And that's the catch. Not many people are willing to do that.
Right.
And so, and it might not just be a community. Like we saw over COVID, they raised the housing prices across the world.
Right.
Where were you going to move to? So what they've done is they found ways like this, and there's dozens of these or more. They found these opportunities where we're happy about it. Your house is now worth $2 million. I'm celebrating.
Right.
My net worth just doubled. I'm worth $2 million. Yesterday I was worth $1 million. This is so awesome, but don't realize that now I'm going to pay twice as much in tax.
Right, that 5%
is now 5% of twice as much.
Yeah.
So they still got their double their money.
And you haven't actually made any more money.
Nope.
Yeah.
And then the insurance goes up because the value of the house is now up. Yeah. That's frustrating. And
it's really
most people have never even considered that or think about it. They get your house went up in value and they're like, yes.
I mean, I didn't think about it until you explained it to me.
Yeah, it sucks.
It sucks.
And there's hidden taxes like that everywhere.
That's frustrating. It just feels, there's just something about that feels like worse to me than
it's wrong.
Like the health.
It's wrong because eventually they will keep doing that and they'll force you out of the own house that you own.
Right, because you ever really own your house then?
Yeah, if at some point you can't afford to pay the taxes. No, you do not own the house. The government owns the house.
They can take it.
Yeah, and this is off topic again, but the government owns your house even if you don't even have a mortgage. The government owns your house because they can just put your property taxes up to the point where you have to sell it back to them.
Yeah.
So don't ever think you own your house because you're paying them for it. It's one of the only things in the world that I can think of where you pay a tax to buy it, a tax to sell it, and a tax to hold it.
Right.
That's outrageous.
Tax to buy it, a tax to sell it, and a tax to hold it. Do you do that with cars? No.
You don't pay a tax to hold a car?
No, you don't. So it's just constantly taxed. So the one thing you need to live, well, not the one thing, but one of the few things you need to live is just constantly taxed.
Yeah. So the dollar that I earn at work is taxed. Then that dollar I use to buy a house, which is tax to buy, tax to sell, tax to hold. Like how many times are they going to tax that $1?
It just feels like there's nothing left over.
There's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. They keep us, again, it's like the health one. They keep us just above the water enough that we continue to consume and feed back into the system. But they don't typically tax us to the point where we have to live on the street because then we don't consume.
Right.
They tax us to the point where we continue to consume, but we cannot break out of the system.
Oh, it makes me really mad.
It should.
When do we all stop paying taxes?
It should be happening.
Okay.
So the second one is another form of a hidden tax, which is inflation. And not a lot of people understand exactly what inflation is. They hear it on the news. They're like, cool, inflation's up. My eggs cost $7 this week.
Yeah.
But there's more to it than that. To just a quick bout of history, the Fed, which is neither federal or reserve.
Right. They're not elected.
No.
They're not.
I
know very little about this stuff, but I know that they're not elected.
They're a private corporation.
Yeah.
They control our inflation rates. We're not going to get into how, but that system just came about because the bankers wanted it. That was a group of people sitting around plotting evil. They actually caught a train down to like some island or down to somewhere and then a boat to an island so they could have this meeting. And
so that is,
that was literally a group of people sitting around creating
how do we do this?
Yeah. For the big banks back in like 1920 something. But anyway, the US dollar used to be backed against gold.
Right, the gold standard.
Yeah, and that's where that term, the gold standard, comes from. Meaning every dollar that was out in the system was backed by an equivalent amount of gold. Meaning you could never have, you could always point to how much it's worth.
Right, it's almost like there was a finite amount of money related to how much gold, whatever the government had.
And there is, there's a finite amount of money that can go into the system,
right?
Depending on how big that pile of gold is, that is controlled by Fort Knox.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
In the 70s or whatever, they got rid of the gold standard and we went to what's called a fiat currency, where my $100 US bill is only worth $100 because we all agree it's worth $100.
There's nothing behind it.
There's nothing backing it. So I give it to you, you give me $100 worth of service or goods, and we call that an even fair deal.
Yeah.
But if we just one day decide, or someone in China decides that our $100 isn't worth $100 anymore, our entire system collapses.
Right.
It's that easy to collapse.
Mm.
So when these huge spending bills come through, which we just saw one for $3.8 trillion passed, we see it all the time whenever we go to war. We get these like $200 billion like war budgets or whatever.
Just our money again.
We see the COVID when we're given stimulus checks,
Right.
all these kinds of things come through. All they do is just go to the printing office, which is controlled by the Fed, who's a corporation, and they print more money, which seems fine. Everybody gets a little bit of that money. But when you flood more money into a system that's not backed by anything, all it's doing is decreasing the buying power of your money that you have.
Right.
So if you have $100 right now, well, let's go back. So if you had $100 10 years ago, do you think you could buy the same stuff today with $100 that you could have bought 10 years ago?
No, you couldn't even do it 5 years ago or a year ago.
And that's because the value or the buying power of your money has gone down.
Right.
And so what they do is they come up with these things like these wars and all these whatever. They print more money and just push it into the system, which devalues the money that we have.
Right.
And so we're not, again, if they came to us and said, you're now, whatever, you're on a 35% tax bracket, we're going to bump you up to 70, we'd be like, no, we're not doing that. This isn't happening. But instead, they just flood the money into the system, devalue the money we do have. And in essence, the same thing. They've just found a way to bring us back down under that water again.
So instead of saying like, yeah, you're now 70%, it's just like, oh, well, now all of a sudden eggs cost $8
Exactly.
and gas.
So
is
yeah,
much money.
we're not taking more money from you, but you can't afford anything.
Right.
Yeah. So inflation is another form of a hidden tax.
This one is making me more mad than the health one, which
Well, so the government utilizes that.
Yeah.
They see an opportunity. So they inflate the money market.
Right.
On purpose.
And then someone's making more money from doing this, right?
Yes.
So who's making more money from doing this?
That's probably a discussion for another day.
Okay.
That'll be a deep dive.
Okay.
We'll save them with that one.
Got it.
But do your own research.
I have more questions than answers.
For the third pillar is debt. You spoke once a good story about football games, if you want to share that.
Oh, yeah. So this is insane to me, and I didn't even realize it until we were talking about it the other day. But when I was in college, at like the college football games, there would always be these tents that were getting college kids to apply for credit cards. And you'd get like a free t-shirt or whatever it was to apply for this credit card. And it just dawned on me how awful that was, that they're like, for better or worse, most of those college kids are drinking. So you're like telling drunk, 18 to 22-year-olds or whatever, like apply for this credit card, here's free money, and you get this t-shirt. And everyone's like, sure.
Yeah, 27% interest.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's criminal. Yeah, and that's an example. Debt cripples us.
Yeah.
I don't know that when it was introduced, I don't know that the system is as it is now. So it wasn't there, and I haven't researched it.
Yeah.
But I would venture to guess that when it came in, there was probably some good to it. Talking about credit card debt primarily, and student loan debt being the worst one. So we finish high school in this country.
Auto debts. I mean, I get
auto debt's a new one.
Yeah, but people really go crazy with that one too.
Yeah, I see people driving around here in cars worth more than the house they live in.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad.
Yeah.
Or at least the payment.
Well,
the payment on their car or their truck is more than the rent they pay.
That's wild.
Wild. But debt is deliberate. Again, it keeps us below that watermark where we're struggling and hard to get our head above. And they put it on us immediately. So you finish high school and then you go into crippling debt to go through college, something they tell you have to do.
When you're 18.
Yeah.
Well, and I think I told you this too, like at least for me growing up, if you didn't go to college after high school, that was really looked sort of down upon. And so there was just this pressure to go, like to know what you're going to do when you're 18 and to put all this money into doing it, because it was kind of seen as like kind of, I don't know what the word would be.
I think we'll do a whole series on the university system in America because it's kind of broken.
It is, because I'm thinking, why did Colorado State University just let credit card companies
hang out front?
not even out front, in the stadium?
Yeah.
That's
wild.
crazy.
Yep. And so debt is huge. Like we said, you finish high school, you go immediately into crippling debt, takes you 2 decades to pay it down. How are you ever supposed to get ahead when your first 20 years of work are spent paying back a
Right.
debt that you don't even need?
Right.
How many people are even working in the same field of their degree?
Right. That's
Like
true.
it's madness.
Right.
And so then guess what we do? We have certain presidents that'll come out and say, I'm going to pay everybody's student loan down. Guess what that does? Print money,
Right. Because where
inflation.
did that
So the
money come
rest of us
from?
pay for it through
Yeah.
inflation. Thanks. Like
And
it's not,
so, right. And people, well, I mean, it goes to like the COVID thing too. Same thing. It's like, what did that $1,200 get you that now you can't get out of the grocery store for under 500?
exactly. Yeah. And so that's a big one. And then the fourth pillar, lifestyle creep. So there's this keeping up with the Joneses,
Yeah. That's like the car thing.
pressure that they
right?
put on you. You got to have the nice car,
Yeah.
debt. You've got to have nice clothes. You've got to have, and so this consumer debt goes on your credit card. And even if it's not debt, you're just spending the
Right.
money that you're earning. And so what happens as a result of that is people get a pay rise, and instead of banking the entire pay rise, because they just proved they could live off what they were living off
Right.
because they're alive.
Yeah.
And so then they get a pay rise. The smart thing to do is every cent of that pay rise goes straight into an investment because you just proved you can live off what you had.
Yeah.
So you don't need that extra, but immediately better car, better house, better
Fancy
shoes.
vacation or like
Yeah.
whatever it is.
And
yeah.
so that money goes immediately away. It's a lifestyle creep. It's forced on us, but it's also it's like a universal law. The universal law is a vacuum. If there's a space, we're going to fill it.
Yes, that's true.
We do that with God.
Yeah.
If we don't connect to God and we're searching for a connection, we will fill it with, we'll make ourselves God.
Anything else.
We'll make anything else God,
Yeah, that's true.
because nature abhors a vacuum, and that's what happens with lifestyle creep. So it's another one to be wary of.
Well, luckily, neither of us care about driving fancy cars.
Well, I think yeah, for sure. But I think there's a bigger point to that. Seek first the kingdom is one of my favorite passages from scripture.
Yeah.
Seek first the kingdom and the rest will follow. And most people want to flip that around. They're like, I'll start to pursue my purpose. We're going to get into that shortly, but I'll start to pursue my purpose when I'm financially set.
Right.
But they're never going to be financially set. The entire system is
Yeah.
built so that we stay right here, just head above water, just getting enough air to not drown, but never any opportunity to get out. And so waiting until you're financially set to then pursue eternal endeavors or purpose is the backwards way of doing it. If you seek the kingdom first, start to volunteer, start to give your time, start to find what drives you, what your purpose is, you will quickly realize how none of this matters.
Right.
Your car doesn't matter. Your house doesn't matter. None of it matters. It's all
temporary.
gone. We're a steward of this. We're just borrowing it from God while we're temporarily here.
Yeah.
And then we're just going to give it back.
That's a nice thought to think about.
So that kind of wraps up the money trap. One last point that I'd like to say is that, again, we see this in scripture, that the borrower is a slave to the lender. And I don't think you have to go to church to feel that.
Right. That's true. Yeah. And just because something is common doesn't mean it's good.
No.
Just because debt is common, or taking out an auto loan you can't afford is common, or like whatever it is, doesn't mean it's
Yeah.
good.
There's a chasm between normal and good.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Where does faith or purpose come into all of this for you?
I think because if you don't have a clear purpose, like we just mentioned, something else is going to fill that space.
Right.
So it'll be a pursuit of money. It'll be a pursuit of comfort, entertainment, status, celebrities.
Yeah, we see that. People get so
Politicians.
involved in celebrities. People don't get so involved in characters on shows that aren't even real.
Mm-hmm.
That's an even wilder one.
So yeah, I think we just fill that space with anything that we can fill it with.
Right.
Like we hear in the Bible, where your treasure is, your heart will be also. Meaning our heart goes to what we put importance on. And if we put importance on status, anything except purpose, we will fill it with something that's not purpose.
Right. I mean, do you feel like the same could be said for worry? Like just because I've been feeling a lot of that the past couple weeks of like, it doesn't even have to be something like tangible.
Yeah. I think for sure. Because the hole that's created when purpose isn't there,
Mhm.
I think it worry is a luxury.
Oh,
I don't know if
interesting.
we've spoken about this on a podcast before,
Hmm.
but worry is reserved for the people that have time to worry.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Some people are so in the thick of it that they don't even have time to consider,
What,
because
5 years from now?
worry is just a projection into the
Right.
future,
Yeah.
and it's just a fear, which means, so to go back to what you asked, I think you're onto something, because faith and fear both require you to believe in something you can't see.
Right. And what's the quote? One solves nothing and one fixes everything.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that's true. Like, if you had purpose, you would have less worry.
Mm.
And I think we see that. I think the people that you see, they're very rare and few and far between. But when we see somebody who's driven by something bigger than themselves,
Yeah.
they just seem so light and carefree.
Right. It's
And
true.
they're living in average houses, and they're not like,
Yeah.
if you were to look at, their ledger or paper, they probably are struggling as much as we are,
Yeah.
if not more. But they're
Right.
just so happy.
Yeah.
They're just light. So
I like
I
that.
think there's something there.
Cool. That's fun to think about. Okay, so what do you think the main reason is people don't pursue purpose?
Honestly, I think it's distraction.
Hmm.
I think we're too caught up in these, I guess, things, for lack of a better word, that capture our attention at all times. We've lost the ability to be bored.
Right.
We don't sit down with our own thoughts anymore. We don't sit down and talk with our family as much
Yeah.
as we used to, or we should. We're always looking for entertainment at every moment where there's a break in something.
Yeah.
I think that distraction is toxic. It's another trap that we didn't put into the big three, but it's clearly there. We have
Mm.
things like TikTok, which keep our attention for 3
Oh my
seconds.
gosh.
My pet favorite is Netflix. We will justify Netflix as family time,
Yeah.
which is horrible.
Yeah.
Because it's just not. There's no connection there. You're
Right.
just watching a screen. Reed Hastings, the CEO of Netflix, I heard him say, I think on the Tim Ferriss show, that he's not competing with streaming services. He's competing with sleep, which just
That's awful.
is awful.
But see, this goes back to where I'm like, is it systems or is it people?
Yeah, no, I don't think he started Netflix to compete with sleep.
Right.
I think he started Netflix as a very good solution to being able to get DVDs in the mail to people.
Yeah. To not have to go to Blockbuster.
But then when he saw they were willing, then it turned to the streaming, and that was great. That was one of the, that was kind of generation defining in terms of how to watch television. The idea was good, but then when he realized people will give up everything for this, he didn't make any measures to try and stop that. In fact, he leaned into it and said, I'm now competing with sleep. So I don't think I could be wrong. How would I know? But I don't think his original mission statement was, we will take people's sleep away.
Right. Because if you aren't rested,
no, I've been rested.
You have no chance.
Yeah. So to go back to the question, I think distraction is one of the main reasons we have trouble pursuing purpose, connecting with God.
Mm-hmm.
If we just sit down in silence for an hour a day, we'd probably be immensely different people. Proper silence, no phone, no distraction, no music, no podcast, no, except this one.
Except for our podcast.
Of course.
But I've been doing that more when I'm driving. It's like when I get in the car, I'm like, I don't even want to put music or a podcast on. Like, I just need to think and pray and talk to God and see what happens. And it's been really helpful for me.
Yeah, that's hit me this week for some reason.
It's funny.
I've been driving without putting anything on.
Yeah.
I normally always have a podcast on.
It feels good.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think distraction is probably the key pillar there.
Yeah. I just noticed when I've been doing that, namely like driving to the gym in the morning and it's really early. And so not having anything on, I just end up so full of gratitude. It's pretty cool. And I feel it by the time I get to the gym. It's like, a 25-minute drive.
Yeah.
So it's nice to feel that. And I don't think I would feel that if I was listening to something. Maybe a worship music. I can probably get there, but I don't even think as much. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been interesting.
Because again, it's a distraction. And so I think if we can eliminate distraction, then we can start to pursue direction.
Mm.
And then if we likewise, if we don't know what we're living for, we're going to default to whatever feels good in the moment.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
That's true. So do you feel like all of these different things we've talked about, the health trap, the money trap, what was the third one we were talking about?
Purpose.
Purpose. There we go. Purpose. Talk about distraction. Um, okay. Do you feel like they're all separate issues or do you think they connect?
Both. I think they are separate issues, but they're so connected.
Mm-hmm.
This is where we can play out to a little bit further, but like bad health equals low energy,
Right.
low money equals limited options,
Mm-hmm.
no purpose equals no direction. And then, so you think about having low energy and then needing to then go make more money,
Yeah.
or
Like, how are you supposed to do that?
having you're that person that's barely able to break their head above water, but you're supposed to like leave work to go to men's group. Like it
Yeah.
starts to, they compound very, very quickly.
Right.
So think about this. Let's just think about an example of a person wakes up early, has a coffee, goes to work,
Mm-hmm.
works a full day, then works overtime to get a little bit more money,
Yeah.
leaves work exhausted because they've been eating poorly and their health is bad.
Right.
Too exhausted to stop and buy groceries, too exhausted to cook if they did buy groceries. So they stop at McDonald's and buy McDonald's for their family.
Yeah.
They come home, their family eats McDonald's, they're exhausted. They don't want to deal with the pressures of parenting.
So
So
put
they
on
put on
Netflix.
Netflix.
Yeah.
And then they all watch Netflix. They all eat the bad food. They all get sick. So they all have to go to the doctor. The doctor costs a freaking fortune.
Yeah.
You get the drugs cost you a fortune. The drugs cost the system a fortune through
Mm-hmm.
inflation. We're all paying for this.
Right.
And then with like so much of the money that we spend either in taxes or through inflation
Mm-hmm.
goes into the healthcare system,
Right.
which I use never.
Right.
And so, yeah, so then they're on the drugs, which is costing them money.
Yeah.
So they have to work longer hours. It just gets,
It's a whole cycle.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really hard cycle to break out of. It's a really compounding cycle.
Which one of these traps do you feel like hits you hardest personally?
The money one sucks me in
Mm-hmm.
a lot, for sure. I think I saw most of it through my dealings in the fitness industry. So that's where I definitely was exposed. Also through the military and just
Oh,
seeing
that's interesting.
gross spending.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really developed a sense for this through the fitness industry
Mm.
and the health industry in turn, and then medications, and starting to read books about like natural methods to be healthy and prevent disease rather than try to treat disease.
Yeah.
But it probably hits me on the money one the most. Like personally, for me, that's an easy one to fall into.
Right.
I've worked a few jobs where they were tax free, and it only takes a few years of a tax free job, and you can jump right out of the rat
Oh,
race.
interesting. What jobs are tax free?
Military deployments,
Okay. That's nice.
private security for diplomats in Afghanistan is free, tax free, and
Maybe.
I think I did a total of like 5 years of tax free money, and it launched me out of the rat race temporarily.
Yeah.
I'm back in it, but
Hmm.
it doesn't take much. If they would just give us a tax break, we could all get out of this. And I think that's the point.
Oh, that's pretty wild. It's interesting to think about how people will vote for, or it's marketed to us as like the nice thing to do is to vote for more taxes because all of these things,
Yeah, un-American if you
it's
don't.
like, yeah, and it's like, I mean, it tends to go down the liberal versus conservative lines, right? If we're talking politics of like liberal people on the liberal side tend to be like, no, like the library needs more money, the fire department, like we need more taxes because all these things benefit us, which would be great if they
that's where
did,
yeah, the money ain't going there.
right? And so it's actually kind of the opposite. And I guess it's the way you think about things, but it sounds to me like you're saying the opposite is true. It's like it's actually, if there were less taxes, we would all be better off.
Yeah, I think it's the system that we're currently in is so broken that it wouldn't hurt to try.
Oh, that's yeah.
It's that simple.
I remember Theo Vaughn said that once years ago. He's like, like, whatever we've been doing is not working, so let's give this a try.
Right.
Because, and you can't just say, let's give it a try for 6 months. Like, you actually need a good chunk of time to see how things work and play out.
Yeah.
Um,
Frisella always says it just blanket tax every single person 10% and just call it a day.
mhm.
That's it. Everybody pays 10%
And there's no
tax.
getting out of it,
Yeah, and then we'll
but
just
that's the max.
cut the government in half for all these wasted roles.
Yeah.
It
Interesting.
could be done.
Yeah. It's pretty wild. So where do you feel like someone would even start if they wanted to get out of these traps?
Yeah, so going back to the first episode, understand the system, know that it's happening, know that you want out, and choose if you want out. You don't have to want out, but you're probably not going to listen to this second episode
Yeah.
if you want to be stuck in it forever.
Right.
Then you got to identify your trap. Could be all three,
Mm.
but some people might have one over the other.
Yeah, like right now, I definitely, what's the one I feel the most is just like having,
Distraction.
well,
'Cause
mine
you're
is,
working full
yeah,
time.
like being in the workforce for the first time since having kids. So for the first time in 13 years, being in the actual workforce,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
not
wow, this is so hard.
It's not an unhealthy distraction, but it is.
A huge distraction.
Yeah, it takes
Yeah.
your time away from where you want it spent.
100% it does. Yeah, because it was never hard for me to get a healthy dinner on the table before.
Right.
And now it's a scramble.
Yeah. And so identify your own trap. For me, it's money. And that's why I've spent the last 5 years of my life having no life and just studying
Mhm.
another avenue so I can break out of this system.
And I like just as someone who's seen that firsthand, like seeing what you've dedicated to doing that, most people probably aren't going to be willing to do that, but
No.
you kind of have to be if you want to get out of it.
Yeah. If you want to get out of it, the financial part
Yeah.
takes a lot. You have to out earn taxes in essence, which is wild. We think that we pay 35% tax in that middle tax bracket, but it's not. If you add everything up and all the things you buy,
Yeah.
and then it ends up being closer to 80%.
Right. Because they tax your income's taxed. I know we already talked about this, but your income's taxed. Then the money you use to buy anything you buy is taxed.
Yeah, and then when you invest it, the profits you make on your investment that's already been taxed now
Are
gets
taxed.
taxed again, which is crazy. There's a study out there that says that or suggests that if you add every piece of tax up, then in a calendar year, you start earning money for yourself in August.
That's garbage.
Mhm.
BS.
And so then
That's awful.
then we pretend that we live in a free country.
Yeah.
But
No.
3/4 of everything we earn ends up back in the government's pocket, and we're in a free country. We're a
So
slave. We're a
when
tax slave to
do
the
we have
government.
the Tea Party again? Like because isn't that whole country was founded on like that's not okay.
Yeah, it's a solution.
No, now we're riled up and angry.
It should
Yeah,
make you angry.
because that was a whole entire premise of the American Revolution.
Mhm. Taxing tea. That was it.
Oh my gosh. Makes me so mad to think about because it's like you're working so hard.
But
The
yes,
government's just like, sorry.
yeah, I'm going to take more
Yeah,
and then devalue what you have.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now
So, yeah.
I'm riled up.
Identify your trap. Simplify it one area.
Mm-hmm.
So don't try to fix everything. But if
Right.
But if you're somebody who wants to improve their health, so start simple. Just start walking daily. Once you're there at that point, maybe then you can start to increase intensity. Once you can start to get to the point where you're training regularly,
Mm-hmm.
start to improve your diet.
Yeah.
Then when you can start to improve your diet, then you can start to go down the different avenues. But start simple, make it easy. Start with 1 or 2 habits, not 10, and then start to change them one at a time, whatever that happens to look like. And then create daily alignment. So time with God. Spend time with God. Spend time with
Yeah.
yourself. It's kind of the same thing. Sit down in silence and just sit.
Right.
Sit with your own thoughts. Pray to God. Read scripture. Dedicate time to that every single day.
It's amazing when you do that, right? Because even just the other day, I was like, this is what I did. I prayed the whole way home. And then 2 minutes into it, being home, I was like, oh,
Good.
look at this. Like, prayer works.
Prayer works.
And it doesn't work in necessarily the ways we think it should or want it to, but it does work.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Prayer works. Scripture is truth.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would recommend serving some capacity. Go to a soup kitchen, help the homeless, anything. Find a way to serve a couple of times a week,
Yeah.
and you'll start to realize none of it matters.
Yeah.
And if none
It
of
feels really good to serve.
it does. But if you can realize that none of it matters, then you can decrease your spending. And so the only way to get out of a money trap
Mm,
is to spend less than you earn. You have
right.
two choices. You either earn more or you spend less. Ideally, you do both.
Yeah.
But the average American spends 118% of their income, which means they leverage 18% more than they're earning every week, which proves that people can't live below their means given the system's pressures.
Yeah.
And so you have to figure out a way to spend less. Well, a good way to do that is to seek first the kingdom.
Mhm.
So you go and offer your time up somewhere where people are far less fortunate than yourself. You'll feel better for it. You'll get closer to God for doing it, but then you'll also realize none of this matters.
Yeah.
And then you can start to sell some crap, start to spend less,
Yeah.
and get back at least into the black side of that equation of
Right.
spending less than you earn. And then you can start to save.
Yeah. All right. So what do you want to see as the biggest takeaway for the listeners?
Yeah. I don't think most people don't need more motivation. They need more action.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that one of my core beliefs is that action precedes motivation. It's not the other way around.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
will sit around waiting to feel motivated to do something. It doesn't work that way. And we see it in the gym as well. Like we see people waiting for the motivation to start going to the gym.
Mhm.
It doesn't work that way.
No.
You start going to the gym, you see progress, that motivates you to keep coming back. The
Yeah.
action precedes the motivation.
Right.
It is one of the core pillars that I live by. So to take motivation away, people need to just start acting. They need to start these things that we just spoke about. We just give them a few really simple things to do. Do it.
Yeah.
Wake up, spend some time alone, spend some time in silence, give away some of your time, give away some of your money, start to do some of these things to put the kingdom first.
Yeah.
Rather than wait to be financially ready, wait to be,
Because then you'll never do it.
no, you won't.
You'll never do it if you wait to feel ready.
Yeah, it's similar to, we see it in CrossFit where people are like, I'm going to start CrossFit, but I want to get fit first. It's like, it's not going to
People
happen.
say that to me all the time. Like,
Yeah,
well,
all
I'm
the
just
time.
going to get I can't go yet because I'm not fit enough. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
just not how it works.
It's absurd.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. But it's just as absurd to worry about eternity when you're dead.
Mm,
That's crazy.
yeah.
Because
Right.
you're going to spend it in a hellhole,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah, it's true.
So take action, let motivation come. Yeah, the longer you stay in these traps, the more normal they're going to feel,
Mm,
and then the harder they are to break out of.
yeah, that's pretty good.
That's all we got. Part 2. So stay with us. Part 3 coming up in a couple of days.
Hopefully we didn't run too many people off.
No, it's good.
You can follow us on Instagram
Yeah, follow us on Instagram.
for updates.
You'll get updates, some of the behind the scenes action, see what we're up to in our daily lives, and like and share the episode, get it out to your friends, and we'll see you in a couple of days.
Lift heavy, pray hard. God bless.